All right, welcome into another edition of Courting Cinderellas, and we are breaking down the Big South Tournament champion UNC Asheville with none other than Longwood head coach Griff Aldridge. And Griff, we'll start with this. Who's the best player in the team, and what's he all about?
Well, Drew Pember, clearly the best player. He was the Big South Player of the Year and also the Big South Defensive Player of the Year. Led the league in scoring. I think he also led the league in rebounding. He's a transfer from Tennessee. I think he was a top 100 recruit. He's just at our level, he's a real challenge because he's 6'10", but can handle the ball. He shoots the three. But where he's really a challenge is he can drive it, he can shoot it, but he can also pass it. And so more of a perimeter-oriented player who is a real mismatch for teams, certainly at our level.
Who or what is the X factor for Asheville?
Well, it's going to sound crazy. I'm going to give you two X factors. The first is Tyjon Jones. And it's a little bit odd to call Tyjon the X factor because he's Asheville's all-time leading scorer. But that kind of tells you about how big of a presence Pember has on this team. But Tyjon Jones in the championship game was really the guy who I think brought him back to beat Campbell and made a ton of plays. But there's another player who, from afar, I've been impressed with, which is Caleb Burgess. At least in our two games, Caleb was the one who he was their engine and he was their spiritual leader. Several times in our games, they were down, and it was Caleb who got them going and was encouraging them to keep fighting, to pick up their energy, their intensity, and I thought he had a massive impact on their program this year. And so I'd kind of say Caleb is a key ingredient for them this year.
All right, why can they win a tournament game in the NCAA tournament?
Well, they have so many different weapons. As you're trying to prepare for Asheville, as we did several times, you're of course trying to stop. You're of course trying to stop Pember and all of the ways that he can hurt you. And once you deal with that, you go to deal with Tyjon Jones, who's their all-time leading scorer. And then in the game against us, last game of the regular season, then they've got Fletcher Abey, who scored 20 against us in the regular season finale, going 7 for 8 on the day, and they just have so many different weapons, and they're also just having one of those years, and I think Longwood had one of them last year where the ball's just bouncing in the right direction for them. And the number of games that they won in overtime where people missed free throws and they came down and capitalized. And, credit to Mike Morrell and the job he's done, but they're just having one of those magical years where it feels like, everything's going in their direction. So if they can keep that together and keep that momentum going, I think they'll be a scary team for somebody in the first round.
Hey guys, just a reminder, our sponsor for today's episode is Run Your Pool. They are hosting the Field of 68 Bracket Challenge. This year, they are giving away $1,500 in free prizes. It's all an incentive for you to get on there and find out just how good their platform is. I've been using them for my bracket pools for years. I've used them for Super Bowl squares. I use them for everything that I need to use them for. The biggest survivor pool that I'm in for both NFL and NCAA tournament is by Run Your Pool. So go check them out. The link's below. Tap in.
Pember is a guy with size. Usually that's an issue when you go up against some of these high major teams in the first round. What's their biggest weakness? What do you worry about with them, going in against maybe a a high major?
I think their depth is, they're playing, their main guys a lot of minutes. Now in one game, that's probably not a challenge as much. But if somebody hits foul trouble, if one of those, key guys gets in any type of foul trouble, and I also think you can get into their legs a little bit. Just because they're not playing 9 or 10 deep. They're really relying on 6, maybe 7 guys to heavily carry the load, and so I don't think that their margin for error, if you get past those 6 or 7, I don't think they have as much depth further down the roster.
All right, there you have it. The breakdown: UNC Asheville, Big South champ from none other than Longwood head coach Griff Aldridge. Griff, thanks, man.
My pleasure.